Welcome to Minding Your Balance at Home. This is Rusty, my faithful assistant, who's been very glad to have me at home of late. So the question is, what can we do while we're at home and we're not having classes to maintain our balance skill, to continue to train? So in this series of videos, we're going to be taking the lessons from Minding Your Balance, things like centering and weight underside, sense of space, good focus, looking at the emotion and balance connection, and taking those things into everyday activities with two goals. One of them is to continue to train so that we have these skills when we go out in the world, but the other goal has to do with being safe at home, which is often where falls happen. So this idea of working through everyday movement to develop martial arts skills was very cleverly depicted in the Karate Kid movies. In the first movie, he had to wax the car and then takes the wax off, and the kid didn't know he was developing his martial arts movement. In the second film, and I've got you may remember, with Jackie Chan. Rusty doesn't remember that one. The kid would come home and then just drop his coat on the floor. So his teacher made him pick it up, throw it on the coat rack, take it off the coat rack, put it on, take it off, throw it on the floor, pick it up, throw it back on the coat rack thousands of times in order to develop his skill for the martial arts. So while we will be working with kind of a similar concept, we have a different goal. It isn't to be able to beat up or protect oneself against the bully on the playground, but it is developing these underlying skills that are really the same, whether or not it's a martial art or it's just moving in everyday life. Things that have to do with coordination and efficiency and power, with artistry and movement, at the foundation of which, as we've talked for in our balance classes, balance is the foundation. So I'm going to be careful not to trip over Rusty right now and move the coat rack just out of the way a bit, because today's lesson is about something that may not seem like it has a lot to do with balance, and that is working seated at low tables. We spend a lot of time sitting at home, and also getting up and down from a chair. So I'm going to move over to my comfortable chair and get started. All right. Rusty thinks I'm sitting down here to pet him. So we're going to work with really two concepts in this from class that apply in a number of different ways. And the first one has to do with this awareness of all of me. And the second one is moving from our center of balance and how that applies when we're seated and working at a table, and then how it also applies getting up and down. To illustrate that, the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to move this footstool over to the table. Movement tends to organize around the center of our focus of attention. So if my attention is just, here's this footstool and I'm going to push it, this is how I move. I don't know how well you can see it, but my back is curved and my shoulders are up. If I am riding a bicycle, for example, I'm sitting on a bike, then I'm organizing around my balance, my whole body in balance. Happens pretty automatically on a bike. Same thing, if I'm skiing, I have in the center of my attention my balance. But if I'm wandering around at home, I don't pay much attention to my posture, my relationship to gravity. I don't need to, until maybe the dog gets under my feet, for example, or I turn quickly and I'm a little dizzy. Then it matters. You know, it doesn't matter until it does. Tendency is I want to move the footstool, my attention's all on the footstool, and so I'm thinking about pushing it. My movement organizes around it, my shoulders up, my back is curled, and it's harder to move. What I want to do instead is take that moment and be aware of my whole body. I can feel from the soles of my feet, the angles of my joints, my torso, that weight dropping with gravity. Same way that automatically happens again, say if you're riding a bike. So then from that awareness, I brought that awareness, well, a way you can think of it, our attention in the moment is like a camera frame. So when I set up this room, I picked certain things to be in the frame of the camera, because those are the main things that we're working with, that we're organizing around. A moment ago, I had the coat rack in the middle of the picture. Well, I moved it to the side right now, because it's not what we're working with. The same thing is true with attention in the moment. As I move around the house, not being aware of my balance, it's still in the background of my awareness, while the object I'm working with is in the center, the foreground of my awareness. Think about this concept, this awareness of your whole body as something that you're going to bring center stage, so to speak. Have that in the frame of your attention in the moment. So with that, then, I'm going to fold forward at my hip joint. So this is the thing that parallels when we're walking. I'm moving from my center of balance. Right now I'm organizing around that, which is where my the hip joint is, and where the top of the femur goes into the hip. So I'm going to fold from there to move the footstool, or I can sit up from there to bring it back. And then I have the efficiency and the power of my whole body to get this out of the way. It also helps. It slides on the carpet. Okay, so next is to look at how this applies to standing up and sitting down. But before I do that, I'd like to just a quick reminder about what balance itself is. Let me get a couple of things off the bookshelf here. So if I want to balance this vase on top of this one, I want the center of this mass, of this weight, to be over this base, this vase of support, this base of support. If it's a little bit off to the side, it falls. If you think of this as being like your own body, once that's off center, these lower back muscles, they're working really hard to keep us balanced. So when we have our upper body mass centered over whatever our support is, we use our skeleton more efficiently and we don't strain our muscles, besides being safely balanced. So to stand up, I'm not just getting up. Right now, my center of mass is being supported over the chair. So what I have to do is move my mass over a new base of support. So it isn't just up, it's forward and up, and then back down. So if I'm not paying attention to the whole of me, I may just be thinking I want to get up. Really hard to stand up that way. Bringing that awareness of all of me into this picture, and it's as if moving my center forward, or you can just think to fold out my hips. I'm going to start to bring my upper body mass forward, and when it's over my legs, then I push through my legs. Important to do the same thing now when I'm sitting back down, because if I'm thinking just to get my butt back in the chair, I'm going to plop. That's a long ways down. So what I want to do is support my upper body mass as I'm moving back into the chair and folding. See, my butt's moving back, but with a fold at my hip and my knee and my ankle keeps my weight supported until I sit all the way down. And again, I'm not just using muscles, I'm taking better advantage of my skeleton. So let's add one more thing to this, and that it has to do with focus. So there are two minding your balance principles here. The first one is that whole of my body, that awareness. And the second is, what do I do with my focus? An interesting thing watching people get up is lots of times people will push up as they look down, which pulls me too far forward, makes it much harder to get up. What I want to do is, since I'm moving forward and up, is look out at an angle. For me right now, that angle would be about where the footstool is. So I'm going to focus at an angle and then up. And that's a way that I'm helping, that kind of focus helps my brain and my nervous system put together the complex timing of everything that has to work to help me get up out of the chair. All right, so I'm going to move over now to the table. And what I want to do, even in just this simple thing, I can just walk over here and think I need to push this. Maybe feel a little strain in my back. Just in this simple kind of action, you can be training. Right? I'm going to move from my center. I'm going to feel weight underside. And we do an exercise in class where we do tandem walking. It really makes you pay attention to your balance. I'm going to pay that much attention to my balance as I move from my center, just walking normally. Okay, so this isn't far enough over. I need to move it. This is another time you can use that fold. I'm going to fold up my hips and my knees and my ankles to move this over. This is great because it moves easily on the carpet. Actually, I'm going to do this. This is easier for me. Now, not everybody can do this. So if you can't get that low, maybe be a little bit wider stance. But to use that same principle, I can think of it as I'm dropping my center. All right, so sitting down, same thing, train. Every time you get up and sit down, you could be training your movement control and in your balance. So I need to know where it is. I'm going to fold and drop my center. And even coming forward, do that. Going to use the same principle. I want to move all of that closer to me. If I'm not paying attention to my own body, if it's not in that center of my perception, I may be sitting here like this because I'm thinking about what I'm saying to you and I'm reaching for this. Hurts my lower back besides. So I'm going to be training. I'm moving the same fold. Same way that I moved the stool, I'm moving all of this over. Here's my pile of mail I'm going to sort through. I'm going to get that out of the way for the moment because I have a little prop I want to show you. Turn over my coffee cup. This now becomes a chair, actually. And introduce you to Benny. So this is a plumb line, and it shows where, Benny doesn't have much of her body weight, but you can see that gravity line right now, it's over the chair. So to illustrate this movement I've just been talking about, moving forward at the hip, and you notice the angle changes at the knee and the ankle as well, so that the plumb line, where is it? Is it getting stuck there? Stays supported as he stands up. And then if he's standing here and he leans forward to pick something up, you can see, or to move the footstool, you can see the strain that's going to create on the back because this weight is falling without a base of support. So then sitting down, you have the same folds here. The weight is my pendulum not falling straight today? Yeah, there we go. And back. So getting up, you don't want to get up this way. It's too hard to do. And sitting down, you don't want to just go this way. You plop. So it's that bend forward and push up through the ground, and then bending all those joints and push and come back. And this is the way we move at the beginning of life when we're first learning to walk. The most efficient way for us to use our whole body, use our skeleton, protect our back, stay balanced. And it's how we move to be efficient, powerful, and safe in Aikido. So I'm gonna move Benny out of the way for a moment here. I'm gonna move the same way though. I'm still training. I'm gonna get my mail, move it over the same way, put on my glasses. Oh, I've needed to go through this since Christmas, or January anyway. This is a birthday card. We get involved in something like this and we completely stop thinking about our whole body, right? You're thinking about, I want to keep that because I like it. Oh, I need to send them a note. them too, this is trash. But there's a tendency as we get involved in that task, that's a cute card, isn't it? I don't know if you can see it, it's a dog. As we get involved in the task, we lose that perspective about our posture, our relationship to gravity. And if I sit this way long enough, my back's going to hurt when I get up. So, I should drop my glasses on the floor. You can, in an activity like this, every so often bring back and notice, how are you sitting? What's your posture? Bring into that center frame of your attention, your whole body in balance. And then if I want to if I think I don't really want to do this now, I'll get to it later. It's not in the way. I move it over here. I'm still training. You can be training in everything you do, just like the Karate Kid. Train. The simplest of motions. It will help you in terms of maintaining your good balance skill for when you get up and wander around in the world. It will do things like protect your back and keep your shoulder and your neck from tensing up so you'll feel better. And as we've talked before too, it's also something that affects our emotional state. There are many connections between emotion processing and balance processing in the brain. There also have been studies about seated posture. So when they did a study where one group was sitting with nice relaxed but tall neutral back posture, and the other group was slouched, and they found that the group that was sitting tall, they felt better about themselves. It really affected that internal affective state. And it even affected rate of speech, fluidness and rate of speech, which is an indication of what's going on cognitively. So just to keep in mind, as you're working at home, you're continuing to train to move like a martial artist in everyday life. That means affecting our well-being in every way. So thank you for joining me for Move Like a Martial Artist, Minding Your Balance at Home.